Okay, let's get started here. Thank you for joining us for today's teleconference. This is Paul Kirk with Utah Athletics. I first want to go over a few procedures with you. All of your lines are muted, and we ask that you keep the sound muted for as clear audio as possible. If you'd like to ask a question and you've not yet emailed me, please do so, and I will call on you when your turn comes in the order. You may unmute yourself at that time by pressing *6 on your phone. On the call today, we have Director of Athletics Mark Harlan, Head Football Coach Kyle Whittingham, and Defensive Coordinator Morgan Scally. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mark for some initial comments.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Thanks to members of the media who have joined us this afternoon. Appreciate you taking the time. Also want to thank Coach Whittingham for being here and Coach Scally as well. Just want to say a few things. Obviously 3 weeks ago, we were presented with a very serious allegation about Coach Scally's use of a racist word 3 weeks ago, actually to the day. That began a series of events where we hired a private investigative firm to come in and really look into the matter. We've sent out the investigative report. You should all have that. We also sent that investigative report to all constituents of University of Utah Athletics. Transparency has always been very important to this department and will continue to be so. I'll be happy to answer questions later on about anything in that report. I just want to say a special thank you to all of the participants in this inquiry. We had over 35 current players and former players participate, along with staff, current staff and former staff. Their words, their participation meant a great deal to this department, and we're forever grateful for them being a part of this. So I want to make sure I really acknowledge them first and foremost, and particularly our current men of our football team who have been unbelievable during this process, patient, and extremely helpful to both myself and I'm sure to Coach Whittingham as we've navigated this. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Coach Whittingham.
Yeah, just to echo what Mark said, a big thank you to Mark himself, the university leadership, our team, for helping navigate through the inquiry. It did take longer than expected, but obviously much more important that we get it done the right way than worrying about a timeline. I thought the process was very thorough in its scope, was educational in a lot of ways, and really, the bottom line is I'm elated that Coach Scally is back with us. Now it's time to move forward as a program, continue our preparation for the season, and get ready to go. So I'll turn it over to Morgan.
I too want to start out by thanking Athletic Director Mark Harlan, Coach Witt, appreciate and love you, and grateful for the university leadership for allowing me the opportunity to address you all today. My message is simple, but is sincere. And that is that I am extremely sorry. First and foremost, let me be clear, I am against racism of any kind, and am determined to take an active role at the university and in my community in being part of the solution and change. I want to apologize to the young men I have coached and am coaching currently. I had the opportunity to address the full team yesterday morning, and I expressed to them the complete embarrassment I feel for having hurt them and my fellow colleagues in any way. I've reached out to many of my former teammates, players, to offer my apologies, but have not had the opportunity of connecting with all of them. So, gentlemen, if you're listening, I apologize. Excuse me. I apologize. I'm particularly mindful of the young men of color whom I have had the blessing of coaching. I understand that my insensitivity and extreme lack of judgment have caused some, if not all of you, to lose trust and faith in me. I sincerely hope that you will give me the opportunity to gain that trust back. I also wish to apologize to the university students and faculty, to the athletic department, and to those who have worked so hard to create the kind of safe, diverse culture that makes our athletic department family so special. Finally, I want to apologize to the University of Utah fan base, to my family and friends, and to anyone who's been hurt or offended by my insensitive actions. I'm grateful for the former and current players, coaches, University of Utah employees, and everyone who took part in this investigation. I acknowledge and respect the courage of our players, both past and present, who spoke honestly about their experiences. I also want to thank those who've reached out in support the last few weeks. It's meant the world to me. This has been a very fair and professional process, and I am in complete support of the steps the university took to complete this investigation. Again, I want to apologize. I've taught my players never to make excuses or point the finger when owning their actions, and I'm adhering to that same advice. I own up to my past conduct and accept fully the consequences of that conduct. I'm committed to learning from this and becoming a better person, father, husband, mentor, and coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. We'll begin the Q&A portion now. We're going to start with Chris Camrani of The Athletic. Please unmute yourself with *6, Chris. And if each of you would also say who you're directing your question to. Proceed now with Chris Camrani's question first.
Morgan, what have you been able to do in terms of looking within yourself and correcting some things that you feel need to be corrected after this investigation takes place? Most notably, some former players have said that, you've gone to some lengths to make them feel uncomfortable at times, but, they said that you didn't think you did it on purpose. But I'm just wondering, how do you plan to fix some of this stuff going forward?
Well, I appreciate the question. There's been a lot of education throughout this process. I've spent a lot of time learning and growing and listening, and that's going to be the key for me from here on out. This investigation has been on my entire career, and there have been times in the past where I, have received feedback from players about that type of insensitivity, and I have learned and grown from that, and will continue to learn and grow from that. And I appreciate their feedback. I've always respected and honored the feedback, and I appreciate it. And again, I apologize.
Okay, our next question will come from Josh Newman. Please press *6, unmute yourself, and say who you're directing the question to.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, Josh.
When it got to the point that the investigation was complete and you guys had to make a decision one way or the other, how much did you try to involve, the various type of leaders on campus, including the president or the board of trustees, whatever that may be? Who ultimately came to this decision?
Well, I think all along in the process, it was a collaborative work. It starts with Coach Witt and I. At the end of the day, it's his football program, and for so many years here, he's led it in such a professional way, particularly off the field and every metric one could look for. So it was he and I being tethered throughout, also saying that as the investigation went on its way, we stayed back from it because we would eventually be presented with the results. If you're asking about the decision of that came down to Coach Whittingham and ourselves. I oversee football, he's got football, and it's up to the two of us to make that determination.
Okay, our next question will come from Dirk Facer with the Deseret News. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Dirk. Star 6 to unmute yourself, Dirk.
How about now?
Got it.
Got it. Okay. Hey, Morgan, I just wanted to ask you, you're a passionate, emotional guy in that. Has this been the longest 3 weeks of your life?
Well, really, how I feel doesn't matter much compared to the hurt I've caused others. And I appreciate the question, Dirk, I do. But my focus has been on repairing, damages that I've made to relationships of whether it be teammates, former players, current players, anyone in the community. That's been my focus.
And Kyle, just the same question for you. This is obviously, you've known Morgan for a long time. How tough have this last 3 weeks been for you?
I'm sure it's been very tough. I mean, as you mentioned, he's a passionate, conscientious person, and he's got a burning desire to be to be the best coach that he can possibly be, and there's definitely a time for him to reflect and learn, and it was not easy. Now, there's not a lot of communication. Obviously, you got to keep it arm's length and make sure the process played itself out. But yeah, to say it was difficult 3 weeks, I'm saying that's very accurate.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, our next question will come from Patrick Kinahan, 1280 The Zone. Go ahead, PK.
Star 6 might be too much for PK to handle.
Patrick, if you hear it, Star 6, unmute. Go ahead and ask your question. We'll come back. Let's go Josh Furlong, KSL. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Star 6. Josh Furlong.
Hey, Mark, you had talked about in the letter that was sent that Morgan was the coach in waiting for when Kyle Whittingham leaves. What steps need to be taken now for that ever to be a reality, or is that kind of a situation that's past now?
I think that, obviously the future is what it will be. I know that obviously I had great belief and continue to have great belief in Coach Scally, so much so that obviously we were public today about our understanding in the program. So I think that tells you enough of what I think about him, his leadership, the way he has in his career done so many things. Obviously going forward, as he stated in his opening comments, there is a lot of work to be done by him, and I have high expectations that he will do that and do more, and probably do stuff that we're not even seeing. So that's my expectations of him, and I imagine, not to speak for Coach Witt, he feels the same way. I'm not going to speculate on the future, anything beyond that, except that I believe the future and the things that Coach Scally can do, of which we've talked a lot about in the last couple days, can all be accomplished.
Okay, we'll come back. Patrick Kinahan, Star 6. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, I give up.
Go ahead. I can hear you now.
Oh, thank goodness, man. I couldn't live with it forever if I couldn't do it. My question is for Mark. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong on the detail, but the text was intended for someone else, and I believe it was someone else on the staff. And I'm wondering, my point of my question is, the word that was in question obviously is offensive, but was there any investigation as far as other folks on the staff becoming comfortable with that word and using that word also?
No, I would say there was no finding of anyone being comfortable with that word, and nor would that be tolerated. I think that obviously, it's so critical that we not only learn from all of this, but learn from everything that's going on in our society, that word and any other kind of mistreatment is just not acceptable at the University of Utah, and when we find it, we're going to address it. PK, to your comment about another member of the staff, I'm not going to get into other folks that were involved in this. But I will say that, anything that we found in there will be addressed appropriately.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike Sorensen, Deseret News, go ahead.
This is for Kyle Whittingham. Kyle, you've had kind of a great culture over the years with a family atmosphere and a diverse group of players. I was just wondering if, in light of what's happened, what you can do, if you anticipate any changes going forward to improve the culture of your program.
Well, we're always looking to improve, and I agree with you, though. I believe we have a very good culture, but there's always room for improvement. And we've had several good team meetings through these last 3 weeks, and always looking for ways to get better. Our leadership committee is outstanding. Our leadership guys are very tuned in and a smart group of guys, and so we're good, but good is the enemy of great. So we're constantly striving to become better, and that will never stop. That's a moving target that we'll never be satisfied with.
Okay, Chris Camrani, The Athletic, go ahead.
Kyle, can you give us a timeline of when you were first notified that this text message existed? Was it the week that the suspension was levied upon Morgan, or was it earlier?
No, it was the week that it first came out. I think it came out on a Monday. I can't remember. It was a couple days later that it came to my attention that it was out there. Yeah.
Okay, next, Josh Newman, Salt Lake Tribune.
Mark, could you maybe explain some of the thought process behind backing the salary up to $525,000, which Morgan was making a couple of years ago?
This is a really serious matter. Morgan said it, coaches said it, I've said it. This is a very significant matter. We are in charge of young people. We're in charge of their development, and our behavior as leaders always counts. And, obviously the consequences that are here are, significant, and because the matter is significant. I think the follow-up to that is, why is he here? And he's here because the young men, professed their, in some cases, love for him, and that was a critical part of my thinking and coach as well, because a man is not judged solely by moments in time. A man is judged by the body of his entire work, and does, again, not take away anything of the seriousness that we're talking about here. And believe me, I flat out angry when it happened, not pleased with everything in the report at all, but also lifted by the qualities that were shown by so many of our young men about what they like about Morgan. So I think the consequences here are more than appropriate, and that came to my decision in that regard as Coach Whitt and I talked through it.
There's not a next request in the queue. There are other questions that people have at this time?
Hey guys, it's Heather Dennett at ESPN.
Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Morgan, I wanted to ask you what your reaction is on the flip side when you heard the consequences.
Yeah, like I said in my statement, I own up to my past conduct and accept fully the consequences. This is not one of those deals where I'm grateful for Mark and for Coach Whitt in allowing me this opportunity to show them that I can be better. And just the opportunity to be back on the team and coach these young men is enough for me, and I appreciate that.
And just as a quick follow-up, if I may, you talked about meeting with the players. What was the overwhelming response by them? Did you meet with them one by one? I know you said you met with them as a group yesterday morning, I believe, but what was the feedback, and just what's your comfort level right now facing them?
It was a group Zoom meeting, and I was able just to express again my apologies for the hurt that I've caused. And obviously, in a Zoom setting, you're not able to get the reactions of everyone, nor did I anticipate that. And again, whether they're grateful that I'm back or whether they're hurt that I'm back, it's my job to repair any damage that I've done, and I look forward to that opportunity.
Thank you.
Our next question will come from Jeff Rainier with Fox 13. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, this is for Morgan. Was there any thoughts when this happened of you moving on, or was this something you always wanted to cooperate with and I guess fight to get back with the team, no matter what the cost?
No, Mark. When Mark called me and asked me about it, I was very upfront with him about what had happened. I don't ever try and hide from the truth. I love what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do, and it would have killed me to have had to walk away. And I never want to walk away. This is the place I love. The player. Excuse me. The players I love. And again, I'm grateful for this opportunity to be back.
Our next question will come from Josh Furlong of KSL.
Yeah, this question's for Kyle or Morgan, one of the two. Obviously, with this situation, I'm sure there's going to be some negative recruiting out there from other people. How do you guys use this as an opportunity to learn and kind of let recruits know, like, even coaches have to learn these things, but how do you kind of stop maybe some of the things that are going to be said about this program, especially as Morgan is walking the sidelines and recruiting?
Well, I'll handle that one. This is Coach Whittingham. And, recruiting in and of itself is a big challenge. It's competitive. You're constantly, trying to dispel myths and things that are out there and so forth, and sell your program. Morgan has proven to be an outstanding recruiter through the years. And in fact, 51 of the 57 players that he signed to our program are minority players. And so, he's going to have to work extra hard to get some of that trust back. But I have no doubt that that'll happen in time. But recruiting is, like I said, always a challenge and always something that is, it takes a lot of effort. And, you got to do it every day. It's something that is the lifeblood of our program. We all know that. And, I believe that Morgan will continue to be an outstanding recruiter. And, that's just the short of that.
Okay, next up, Josh Newman, Salt Lake Tribune.
Kyle, is it good that at least there is some finality, some resolution in the couple of weeks here before summer access starts with coaches, before training camp, and maybe this won't be hanging over the program come the season?
Yes, I believe so. And it's not an ideal time to go out and look for a defensive coordinator, but if that would have been the case, we would have handled that. But the timing of it, although there's never a good time for something like this, I think to have it be able to wrap up and be able to be concluded at this point, we can continue on with our preparation and just continue down that road.
Okay, if there is a desire, we may have time for a couple more. Anybody else have a question before we wrap up here? Okay, really appreciate everybody's participation today. Thank you for your patience throughout, and that concludes our teleconference for today. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.